So we'll start with, oh, everybody, let me open up the week 5 starter file. Students are welcome to use the file from a few weeks ago, but I'm going to start with the week 5 starter and assume most students will want to begin with the week 5 starter. What am I looking for again? Okay, week 5 starter 8A. Okay, this is week 5 starter AA. It's right where we left off. What was that, week 3, I guess? I can never remember this stuff. I've added a few more symbols. A queen bed, bathroom sink, oven. Here's the ceiling fan that y'all are familiar with, so feel free to double click and change the number of blades. I'll set it at 5 for the time being. So thought I had a faucet built on there. Must have moved it over here instead of copied it. Always something. Anyway, invite you to build a little dollhouse here. Copy these symbols. Don't move, but copy these symbols into your floor plan. And once we get underway, we'll select everything we want to move to the walls layer and assign the walls color. And I'll show you different ways on how to mass produce things of different categories. Here's the categories that I want you to make layers for today. And I didn't take time. Instead of bathtub, it should have said plumbing. Instead of chairs and tables, should have said, oops, well, okay, I thought I had furniture, but yeah, let's make a layer of beds, make a layer of chairs, make a layer of tables. I guess, just for the sake of making a different color for each. Each of these layers for each of these different categories of stuff will have a unique color. Eventually, multiple layers will have to have the same color when you run out of more than I forget 7 or 10 colors. They start looking similar. We also the layer controls how fat the line is. Default you can adjust, but in the start from scratch drawing, default is 0.25 millimeter. I'll explain when we get underway that the fatness of the stuff on the layer is really for emphasis. What's really important, you'd want to have a heavy line weight, and what you want to fade into the background, you'd set the default or less, like 0.1. Sometimes I set layers to 0 so they're as thin as possible. We'll also get into, okay, I keep thinking this is AutoCAD I'm looking at. This is just a screen capture, but we'll turn layers off and on, or freeze and thaw them is better. We'll lock and unlock them to protect them while you're editing, moving furniture around, so you don't accidentally move the doors, walls, and windows. We'll learn to create new layers with this icon here. We'll set the layer that we want to draw on current a couple different ways. Double click on the layer you want to make current, or select it and click on the green check mark. You get a little heads up what the current layer is. The current layer is the layer that anything new you create will live on. Now, I'm pretty bad about drawing everything on layer 0 and then moving stuff to the right layer later. So, I'll show you how to, correct things if they're drawn on the wrong layer. There's 1, 2, 3 or 4 different ways. And then after we play with creating and assigning layers to your lines, arcs, and circles that are right now on layer 0, and next we'll get to, okay, where is, okay, I guess I don't have handout. We'll get to page 5-2 of your handout, and we'll learn how to create text styles. You'll see the text styles and later, I can't remember if it's still an introductory or intermediate, but later we'll get to creating dimension styles. So text styles, dimension styles, and layers are all kind of packages of settings. Layers kind of more or less control the aesthetic stuff, the line weight, line type, line color. Text styles control the font, a couple of little adjustments. And of course, dimension styles is similar. You'll notice that every AutoCAD drawing comes with a standard text style and a standard dimension style. I'll emphasize thou shalt never modify anything named standard. You want to leave what the standard text style and the standard dimension style as they are, so that you learn what they are, and you can use them as a template to begin new text styles and dimension styles. We're still just talking to myself here. I hope Jonathan joins us again. He was in, and I shut down the Zoom session because I was afraid the recording wasn't working. How do I get this? There we go. Get the command area like I want it. I want to close the properties, not close the drawing. Let me open up week 4 homework, just so I don't waste the video file. Go back to week 4 and open up my file. Got kind of carried away here. 3 of you I noticed had a little glitch. Turn off object snaps temporarily. You had a little line about right there, touching the object line. And it took me a while before I realized that line perfectly lines up with this line. So what happens when you created this diagonal line here, you trim away. I assume those 3 were zoomed out so far, they didn't realize that they orphaned this tiny little whisker there. What else did I see? These are all welded together in a block. Let me save it to a new file so I don't ruin my answers sheet. Call it, say, answers 2. I'll explode the block and lose that guy. Let's see, a couple of you, I think, instead of doing a fillet here between the two diagonal lines, you tried to draw a circle with tangent radius, and it came out looking with kind of sharp edges. Right there's a sharp edge. You had a circle and trimmed it at the diagonal lines, where fillet would have been smoother. Undo it. What are other common? Okay, somebody's coming in. Jonathan, good. Jonathan's back with us. A couple of you miscounted the teeth on this gear. There's 9 of them. And a couple of you thought there were 8 by hastily counting them. There's a little bit of difference. Oh, better do a regen because I'm getting the straight sides. Some of you followed the book and the dimensions in the book that had this as an angle. It gave the angle of this. I did mine so that these lines would terminate at this circle, and you'd have this line at the top of the tooth placed, the right length and the right distance from the center line. So just fill it. Let me explode this guy too. So after drawing this line and these 2 lines, the way I interpreted the drawing was to launch the fillet command, pick radius, and what's the radius? 5. So we'll change the fillet radius to 5 and hit enter, and then fill it right there. But many of you, I think, followed the angle of this line, or more likely one of the, up here, the top one was, I believe, dimensioned in the book. Bottom line is there was a slight difference between many students' turn-in and what I did. So I didn't ping you for that, because it's is kind of, again, when they have here, I shouldn't have even had this dimension on there. I think my errata sheet says disregard this angle. So I don't know why my master copy here has a dimension. But anyway, you got, you got this top line. Load that guy. You got this top line, and you got these 2 vertical lines. So just connect the dots and fill it the intersection where the connecting dots go. If you follow the 30-degree, Ty is joining us, 39-degree here, then things will be slightly off. That's why it's a kind of a unwritten rule, or actually textbooks come right out and say it, but for mechanical parts, you never want to dimension things more than one way. And this is a perfect example of that. You got this angle controlling this diagonal line, and you got connect the dots controlling that line. So you can't satisfy both. And, in fact, if you did it my way here with connecting the dots, this would actually come out ever so slightly off of 39, but the textbook rounded off the dimensions. In fact, now that I think of it, I ought to modify the dimension style to show more decimal places. Let's see, primary units, change it to say 4. And I believe, yep, it's about a third of a degree off. So anyway, I'm glad everybody took advantage of the polar array command. I don't know, can't remember if I emphasized that, but I think everybody did, and nobody just whittled it. Copy, and copy, rotate, and it's possible, but after you make a couple of these two teeth, you can mirror them, go around. Another problem with this exercise 18, and I think last week's recording, I think I carelessly made these angles slightly wrong. So some of you followed the way I did it in the recording instead of the way the book dimensions it. So I gave credit either way for that. What else? This, whatever you want to call this, exhaust manifold or whatever, this was a lot harder than I should have given you. Very few people, I labeled them perfect. I couldn't find the slightest thing to ping. A couple of you, let me explode this guy, X center. A couple of you made this arc radius of 25 with the assumption that you just create that outer arc the same as this inner arc. I should emphasize after you've got the outer curvature here, keep the wall thickness constant and just offset everything by 10 units. I got this as a reference. Why is that? Because the wall thickness is also a function of these two dimensions. These two radii are 10 units apart. So this 10 unit wall thickness is redundant. So I converted, I added the word REF for reference. This is, oh, by the way, this isn't contractual, but for your convenience, I'm referencing what the wall thickness would be. But it's up to you to make the wall thickness correct. These dimensions are the contractual, carved in stone way this thing will be machined or 3D printed or whatever. What else? Oh, it's almost 4:30. I got little notes for myself here. If I'll try to, each time I teach introductory, I try to have different assignments, just keep myself busy or up to speed. Let me go back to week 5 starter. We only got 3 students so far. Let's see, what's my computer say the time is? 4:29. Once again, I'll remind you that the night school is going to attempt to run both levels of AutoCAD, introductory and intermediate. I'll teach the intermediate on Thursdays, and a student I had a couple of years ago, Diane Musney, I believe is the way you pronounce that. She'll be taking over the introductory class. So I hope we get enough to make intermediate, or I won't have any beer money for the spring, but that's okay. Okay, we're up to 5 students now. I think I've gotten homework from everybody. Let me open up the homework file while we're still waiting. Please tell me the recording's going. Yep, I got pause recording available, so that means that it is running right now. Go to 21 winter student, or oh no, my attendance list is in the main. There we go. I'll try not to show students' names. Whoops, too late. Anyway, I gave credit to everybody that's Benjamin coming aboard. I turned it in with a little reminder that there were 2 minor glitches here. Yes, but I almost told the student to redo some. A couple, you know, I don't believe I told anybody to do that problem number 40, the exhaust manifold problem, because that was a bit more busy work than I should have given you. But I asked a couple students to redo the smaller parts, thinking, well, if they can fix the minor glitches in the smaller parts, you know, they could make everything perfect just given the time.
Hey.
Yes. Benjamin, you got your mic on.
Oh, my bad. The cat was scratching the furniture. Telling us stuff.
There's the recording for last week. Trying to think.
Mr. Paul?
Yes.
This is Ty. I was just making sure. Did you receive my email?
Oh, yes. And I believe I replied back to you.
You did? Okay, I have to check my work folder.
Yeah. I think I called it very good.
Okay.
As opposed
All right.
to marginal or excellent. And I don't know that I've said, put the word perfect for all 4.
No, it probably wasn't perfect because I had a little trouble once again. But like I said, I just wanted to try it for myself.
Appreciate that. So I'm glad got some motivated students today. Let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Looks like I lost count already. I think we got 10 students that are still turning in assignments. A few have discontinued. I doubt they'll catch up. Hopefully we'll try again with Diane's class in the spring. Christina's joining us. All right, I think we got a quorum. Let's get underway here. Everybody should have a week 5 starter file. Again, I haven't found a way yet to distribute DWG files, you know, without risk from the Google Classroom. So I emailed everybody a week 5 starter. It looks familiar. You know, we worked on this, what was it, week 3 or 4. However, notice everything is in black ink and everything is the same fatness. You know, if you're contracting for the furniture delivery to come in, you may want to plot out your drawing or send a PDF where all the furniture is in bold fat lines. And the walls and windows and doors are all faded out in thin and gray. Another way you can make, and not only make the important stuff fatter, bold, you can also make it a bright red color. So, you know, the reflected ceiling guy doesn't, you know, he doesn't care what's the flooring, and the electrical doesn't care where the furniture is going to go, with some exceptions. Looks like I got to do a regen here. But doors, there we go. Anyway, all brand new drawings. Let me start a brand new drawing here. All brand new drawings. Shut off these two that keeps coming on, and I turned off O snaps earlier. All brand new drawings start with this layer named 0. Think of layers like a sheet of transparency. You got a sheet of transparency for your electrical, for furniture, reflected ceiling. You know, in a shipbuilding, I'm sure you got electrical, plumbing, hydraulics, ventilation, trim and drain. You know, a different layer for every system, so you can make an entire category red and bold just by assigning those properties to the layer that the lines, arcs, and circles are on. You can't get rid of layer 0. You can't rename layer 0. When we get into repetitive symbols called blocks in intermediate class, you'll find out that objects that are drawn on layer 0 have a little bit different behavior than objects drawn on named layers when you weld them all into a rubber stamp. So because of that, you can't delete or rename layer 0. Anyway, besides the layers being like a sheet of transparency on which a category of stuff is drawn, the layer also has a lanyarded magic marker, so that when you call up say the dimensions layer, it immediately drops in your hand a magic marker that's a certain fatness, a certain color, and a certain line type, which we'll learn, I believe, next week. Line types are a little bit more complicated than color and fatness. It is possible to you know, just change your color like you do in PowerPoint, but you know, if you're doing that, then why are you wasting money on a CAD system? I'll shut my phone off. Where was I? Anyway, anybody got questions about the layers concept? It's a package in which you put similar objects, dimensions, your electrical stuff, your foundation, your terrain lines, your you know, every CAD system has a similar feature. They might be called levels or parts instead of layers. But anyway, this icon right here is the main control of everything to do with layers. These other things are kind of drop downs, or you know, shortcuts. So let me show you what good this main control panel of everything to do with layers is, and then as time permits, we'll go over these shortcut icons and these drop down lists. I should say one drop down list, not two. We'll click on layer properties because we don't want to have everything on the same layer. That's you know, if you got everything on the same layer, why use a CAD system? So click on the layer properties icon, and that opens up the layer properties manager. Yeah, over here, I believe it says layer property manager. Let me reduce the size. I don't know why it's so big here. As you create more layers, each one will have a name There's an on-off column. There's a freeze-thaw column. These both control whether they're invisible or not. The new way is freeze-thaw, and it's highly recommended instead of the old way. And you can lock and unlock color, line type, line weight. Transparency is a new feature that you really can't get excited on. But it goes on and on and on. Anyway, to create a new layer, click on this sheet of transparencies looking icon with a starburst. I think following Microsoft's example, a starburst means new. So to create a new layer for your dimensions, your furniture, your plumbing. Who's coming in? Chris Jones. Just click on this starburst, and each time you click on it, it creates a default named layer, 1, 2, 3, because what else does it know how to name them? You can rename them as you create them. Notice it sets up like a typical Microsoft rewording. You got the blue box. So go ahead and type, say, doors. Or you could close your layer property manager and open up layer property manager again and come back and rename a layer Lator. A couple of different ways to rename a layer. Click on it twice with a slight pause between, or you can select it, right click and pick rename. Either way, give it a new name. I think your list below page 5-2 has a layer named chairs. So keep clicking new, name them now, or rename them layer, Lator, Windows, etc. Okay, right now every layer is got the same color as layer 0. They call it white, but it's color number 7. It's white if you got a black background in your options, or it's black if you got a white background in your options. Line types. Is that on my agenda today? I don't think so. I think that's next week. Line weight is what I've been using the word fatness for. Default by default is 0.25. You can set it for any amount, any setting you want for the default. Anyway, let's first select the colors. Let's see, the chairs layer we want to be color number 23. Kind of a shade of brown. So simply click on the sample of the color, or the name of the color, the number of the color. The only I believe 7 different colors have a word instead of a number. So to change the color of the chairs layer, click on the name or the sample in the color column. Up pops a very user-friendly palette of colors. These colors, I guess there's 8 or 9 of them, a couple of shades of gray here. But the colors 1 through 6, have a name of the color. Up here, they're nothing but numbers. Anyway, what we want a color number 23, right? So we'll type 23 in here rather than keep hunting around until we click on 23. We'll just type 23 in the color text box and click OK. So now that shade of brown will be applied to everything that's drawn on the chairs layer or later moved to the chairs layer. Doors is color number red. It's easy to find. It's color number 1, also known as color red, click OK. So we got a couple layers. Let me get one, populate one more, and then we'll put stuff on them. Click on the color for the Windows layer, and I believe that's up color 40. So we'll type 40. I guess I avoid color yellow because it's incredibly hard to see on white paper. So we got chairs, doors, and windows that are good for categories to go on. So when I close out of this layer property manager right now, I'll be drawing back on layer 0 again, because layer 0 is called the current layer. We've created layers, but they're not going to be used unless I make them current. There's a couple different ways of making a layer current. You can double click on a layer, and it puts the check mark indicating, hey, when you close out or move your layer property manager out of the way, you'll be drawing lines, arcs, and circles on the layer named chairs in color number 23 with a continuous line type with the default right now 0.25 millimeter fatness or line weight. Another way, you can select the layer and click this green check mark. That'll say, so now when I move the dialog box out of the way or close it, I'll be drawing, everything I'll be drawing will be on the layer named Windows in color number 40. And there's a shortcut up here to make current layer, and an icon to make, anyway. You can leave this thing floating, but it takes up a lot of your drawing space. So I'm just going to close it for now. Here's another visual of what the current layer is. We're about to draw on the Windows layer. So I'll draw some circles. I'll draw some lines. What else did we learn to do? I think we did ellipse. Did some ellipses the other day. Say we want to draw on some chairs. Well, let's go back to the layer properties. We'll click on chairs and click on the green check mark to set the current layer to be chairs. I'll just move this out of the way for demonstration's sake. And now we'll be drawing, hit escape to deselect. Now we're drawing in accordance with the properties of the chairs layer with that shade of brown. Again, we'll, what was the other layer? Doors. Set that current, double click or check the green marker. Okay, you got to click fast on it. Slow, start to rename it. And similarly, we want the doors to be red, so everything we're drawing while the doors layer is current will be in accordance with the property of the doors layer. Wouldn't you think that when you click on the line weight setting that, well, you would be right. Click on the line weight setting and up pops a user-friendly menu of different fatnesses. Again, line weights. Again, default means 0.25, so it's exactly the same as setting 0.25 now. What's the fatness for doors? Doors is 0.5 millimeters. It's as if we're set up to print it out or send a PDF to the contractor that's going to install all the doors, because that's a pretty bold line weight. Select 0.5 millimeter, click OK, and close or move the dialog box out of the way. Now, what's color doors is red. Now, wouldn't you think that it should fatten up immediately? Chalanta is coming aboard. AutoCAD, by default, AutoCAD doesn't show the line weight. And I think that's a good idea because I think most CAD operators like to work with razor thin lines, and they're not interested in how fat the lines will print out on paper until they get closer to delivering the paper. So anyway, AutoCAD's got this status bar button called Show Hide Line Weight. Tap on this icon and you'll either have fine, medium, or bold line weights in your drawing. And again, the important stuff for the contractor or the client you're going to deliver the drawing for, you might make a heavy line weight. You can't use line weight to represent tubing or wire gauge or thickness of plywood, because as you zoom in on it, notice that the fatness remains the same number of pixels. If this were actually a 1/4 inch tubing, we could zoom in so the 1/4 inch tubing would fill the screen, and you can, put some words on the tubing, for example. So again, line weight is only used for emphasis: important, medium, or unimportant, bold, medium, or fine. Again, most CAD operators will do the bulk of their work with the line weights turned off. What else can I tell you? Go back to layer properties. Say you want to, you're going to move the chairs around in your drawing. That's the brown colored stuff. So I do not want to accidentally move the doors or the windows. So that might be a good case where we lock the doors layer and lock the windows layer so that they're not vulnerable to being altered. I think you can draw on a locked layer, and I can't remember if you can copy on a locked layer. I don't believe so. Anyway, I've locked the doors and the windows layer. Right now the doors layer is current, but if I'm going to move chairs around, doesn't matter what layer is current. As I move the stuff, it'll remain on the layer that it was created on. So we'll close this. I forgot already. Chairs are the brown color. So I might click on move and select the brown stuff here. Move it around. I guess from force of habit, I meticulously selected it, but check it out. If I can simply window everything and move it around. And again, the stuff on locked layers is temporarily welded, so it can't be disrupted. Another layer property feature, I'll thaw these back off, is the invisibility or visibility. On off is the way AutoCAD started, and it had some glitches and it was inefficient, so it didn't take many releases before AutoCAD added freeze thaw. They didn't change the way on off is because programmers liked those little weird oddities, the way on off worked, and no, don't take them away, we use them in our program, blah, 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 blah. So they added freeze thaw, which has a couple different rules than on off. My advice is only control your visibility with the freeze thaw column. Wait until you got some experience before you start playing with the on off column. Say we want to make invisible the windows and the doors. Well, I'll come down here to windows and click on this little sunburst, and that'll freeze the layer, changing the icon into a snowflake. Now check it out. I would want to freeze the doors layer, but notice it's the current layer. AutoCAD will not allow you to make invisible the layer that is current. That's one difference. you can turn off the layer that is current and draw in invisible ink on that layer that is turned off, but you cannot freeze the current layer. Now, what if they're both? Well, that brings up, well, which set of rules governs, which is a stronger rule? And that's, I can never remember that much detail. Anyway, so simply make another layer current. I'll double click, whoops, I'll close this little warning, double click or click the green check mark. I'll set the chairs layer current. Now I can freeze the doors layer. Close the layer property manager dialog box. And that stuff is as good as locked, but it's also invisible. Now be on the lookout. If you got a plate of spaghetti, let me put the chairs back in the middle. Move. Okay, I think these are still locked, or are they? No, I unlocked them. Let's move them back here. Say we freeze the doors and windows. Be careful with what you got frozen when you start moving stuff. Say I want to move my entire floor plan over here, mirror it or rotate or modify it. It's easy just to click whatever you see and move it. Well, surprise, the stuff that's on frozen layer remains where it was. So if you're moving the entire floor plan or entire compartment of a ship or whatever, make sure you got everything thawed and visible before you modify stuff on multiple layers at the same time. Okay. Couple of these shortcuts. This drop down is popular when you want to quickly change the current layer. Instead of drawing chairs, I want to draw doors. So I'll make current the doors layer and make door lines, arcs, and circles. You can also change the color of the doors layer. And you can lock and unlock, and you can freeze and thaw from this drop-down list. Click on the sample of the doors color. And I'll change it, say, from red. Remind me to put this back. I'll change it for purple for some reason, or gray. If I want to de-emphasize it. I'll change it back before I forget. You can also lock the doors layer. Let's see, doors layers, this red stuff. So I can move the Windows stuff, and even though it was in my selection set window, the lock doors window is protected from being edited. And we can freeze. Again, you can't freeze the current layer. I believe doors is still the current layer. Yep. So make another layer current, say chairs, and now I can freeze the doors layer. Now let me undo that back again. Another way of setting a current layer is use this make current. Click on this icon, and whatever layer you click on will become the new current layer. I clicked on a line drawn on the Windows layer, so the Windows layer becomes current, and I'm drawing on the Windows layer again. Let's see, this is a shortcut for lock. I won't take time, but you click that and click on an object, and it does the same as if you drop down and clicked here on the beauty of these is you don't have to know the name of the layers. Back when I was doing mapping for the Army, I might have a railroad track. Well, I forget did I call it tracks? Did I call it railroad? Did I call it Union Pacific? But I know it's right there, so that's pretty handy when you can click on on the locker, click on these icons and click on the object. You don't have to take the few seconds to figure out what layer the stuff is on. I'm using this isolate more and more. It's kind of hard to explain, but with the isolate, it'll how to put this, it'll freeze everything else so that you can work on just the one layer. When you're finished, click unisolate. Now when I overlay my drawings on top of yours, I want mine to be behind yours, I should say. So I might click on an object of your stuff on layer 0 and select everything. Here's the move to front and move to back list. When we get into hatching, that comes important. I want to bring your stuff to the front or my stuff to the back. Since, say yours is the windows, I'll click bring to front, select your entire stuff, and then kind of like go to front in PowerPoint, you can have, different symbols on top or behind each other. So anyway, any questions about layers then? Now, before I get too far, I noticed a couple of you have sailed into uncharted waters and discovered this property panel here and discovered that, hey, this first thing here controls the color I'll be drawing. Well, this is PowerPoint. You'll be drawing in color red or blue or whatever, regardless of what layer is current. And that's a bad habit. Eventually you'll find a need for it, but this early in your training, everything should be by layer. The color should be by layer. The line weight should be by layer. Don't say, hey, I'm gonna, from now on, everything I draw is gonna be 0.4 millimeter. Keep it by layer. And next week when we learn line types, phantom, dash, center, it's tempted to say from now on, well, you got to load line types. I'll show you that later, but you can select center, phantom, there's, who knows, probably 100 different line types for gas lines and fence lines. So again, everything should be by layer, by layer, by layer. Let me, I think I isolated the windows, didn't I? Yeah, so I'll unisolate. Everything comes back. Now, starting now, when I receive your DWG file, don't be surprised if the very first thing I do is select everything, right click and pick, right click, pick, right click. Okay, I think I'm right clicking a little too slowly. There we go. I'll open up the property dialog box. Notice, since I got stuff on 3 different layers, the layer here varies of all this junk I've got selected. But check it out, the color of everything is by layer, the line type, which we'll learn next week, is by layer, and the line weight is by layer. I want to see 3 of those by layers this early in your training. Nothing should be a color yellow or a specific line weight of something. Everything should be by layer, by layer, by layer. I wish there was a way I could put a piece of masking tape across this panel of your panel of your computer, or somehow nullify it this early in your training so students won't get in the habit of assigning color independent to layer. I'll hit escape to bail out. Let's go to draw some stuff on layer 0. Again, I'm probably worse than anybody else on drawing stuff on layer 0 and then worrying about, what layer I'm going to put the stuff in. So what happens when you draw stuff on the wrong layer, or like I do, draw everything on layer 0? Well, that's as long as you got these properties open up here. A couple ways to open up properties, but as long as you got the properties open up, it'll tell you what layer your stuff is on. Apparently I got layer 0 current, so the current layer is indicated here. But check it out, I'll select all this stuff and I can move it to any layer I want through this drop-down list on the properties. Hit escape, I'll undo. Another way is to select everything and drop down this list and select the layer that you want to move lines, arcs, and circles to. Okay, I'll undo that again. Another way, okay, there's a use for the properties dialog. This match properties kind of cool. Say I want all this stuff on layer 0 to be on the chairs layer here. I'll just click match properties. I think you're familiar with this in Word and probably PowerPoint. Click on match properties. Its command prompt says select the source object. I wish they would use the word governing, but source means which object controls. I'll say, hey, I want something on the chairs layer to be controlling, or the source. Now AutoCAD says select the destination objects, select everything I want to obey the properties of the source object. So you can move stuff with this match properties icon in addition to the properties dialog box here, or the the drop down shortcut here. What else? Let me check my cheat sheet here. Layer, creating layers, layer property, color, line weight, freeze, thaw. Again, lock, unlock is old fashioned. Please avoid it until you think of a reason you need to use it. Whipped on you already. Everything is by layer. Keep getting zoom stuff popping up. We learned a few different ways of setting the current layer. We learned a few different ways of changing the layer of an existing object. One way to change the layer of an existing object is from the drop-down list. Another way is from the properties dialog box. We covered match properties. All numbers are colored. I'm sorry. All colors are numbered, but the first 7 or 8 also have a word for their name. And color number 7, I think it comes up as white in the layer property manager dialog box. It's chameleon. It changes black or white depending on what you got the background color set. How do you change the background? Let me bail out here. I think we've been in the properties once before. I'd rather you not do this, but here on display, you can click on colors and you can set the background to any color you want. Black or white is, by far the most popular. I'll set it back to white, because a lot of CAD operators like a black background, and allegedly it's easier on the eyes if you don't have a spotlight staring at you. But I tend to set mine as white so that when I do a screen capture, I think Windows comes with screen capture software, select it, and here I got a screen capture. And if I had a black background, well, it would take a lot of ink or toner to print it out on a handout. What else? Let's play a 10 after 4. Where's our starter file? Let's use the tools we've got to select the doors and to move them to the doors layer, the walls to the walls layer. And this will be your homework, part of your homework assignment. I want to see you select all the doors. There, I'm going to select with a crossing window. I get all those door lines without selecting selecting all the wall lines without selecting doors. And I can drop down and say, whoa, we haven't created layers yet. My bad. All right, be that way. I got to go through all this again. Not a problem. We'll go doors. There is a way I can bring doors from one drawing to another. What the heck? Let me show you how to do that. We'll go back to our sample drawing. I got stuff on 3 layers here. If I were to use Windows copy paste command, I can drag all this stuff on and into the week 5 starter drawing, and the layers that are involved will come in with them. So I found, rather than just select and control C and then click over here, Control V, maybe it's improved by now, but I've traditionally right-clicked, go to clipboard and select copy with base point. And I got perfect control of where it appears on the receiving drawing. I vaguely recall sometimes it goes to 000 instead of where I click. So this way I got control. I'll click copy on base point. Command prompt says specify the base point. I can snap. Generally I'll just click in the middle when I'm bringing my drawing into yours. Next says select the objects. I'll select everything and hit enter. Go to the other drawing and somewhere right click and go to clipboard and click paste. And there's, we got different scale here. So that brought in the all the layers that I had in that drawing number whatever, including chairs, doors, and windows. We can't rename a layer from here. Got to go to the layer property manager. So we'll follow in this chart here. One of them is called bathtub, spelled right or not. Later I might come back and correct my spelling. That is color number 200 and default line weight. So I'll click on the word or the swatch and select and type color 200 rather than going around and trying to find, whoa, I mistyped color 200, enter. Let's see, besides bathtub, we got tables. And I think that'll be all the layers then. Tables, the contract, the client wants color 92, whatever color that is. Oh, forgot to check the line weight. The client wants the tables to be default. Did I set doors to 50 hundredths? Yes. Okay, windows should be 35, and I still don't have walls yet. So change windows to 35 fatness or line weight. We'll rename one of these. Looks like there we go. That timing of the 2 clicks, maybe I'll get in the habit of select and pick rename. We'll call it walls. And that would be color blue at 50 hundredths of a millimeter. Assign it blue, color number 5, and 50, half a millimeter. I think these are in millimeter because even though we're using the imperial system with inches, traditionally CAD or drafters have been selecting their pencil lead by fraction of a millimeter. So that's a holdover from the old pencil days. So it doesn't matter which layer is current if we're moving stuff to different layers. I'll close this and select as much stuff as I can. Go there, select that, select there, select that, select there and there. You get the idea. We'll drop down and say, hey, all you stuff go to the walls layer. Well, it doesn't look fat. Well, okay, you want to see fat? We'll turn on the line weight. Hit escape to close. Maybe over select, hold the shift button down and deselect. Oh, wrong button. I hit control. Deselect the hello. All right, got into 3D viewing there. PLAN enter is a fast way to, if you accidentally get into a 3D view. Both ends of the window are part of the window symbol. So anyway, drop down again the walls, or come over here to properties and select walls. Select doors. Once we've got stuff on each layer, and feel free to use this match properties. Hold the shift button and deselect. I guess I already did it. Select this and shift and deselect. Change that to table. There we go. There's probably a bathtub line on top of a wall line here. I would say disregard that bathtub line that's above or below the wall line, probably above. And we'll leave it as a wall line. Winder. Take a break. Let's take a 10-minute break and reconvene at, well, say 7 minutes. I got 5:18. Let's come back, well, 12 minutes. Let's come back at 5:30 and continue working if you want, or step out and take a break. Once we get everything on the right, on this respective layer, I want you to practice the freeze, thaw, and lock stuff. Freeze the furniture layer, thaw them back, lock the walls and windows, and move the furniture around. And as usual, I got this zoom stuff in the way. Eventually stretch the walls like we did, I believe, last week. But be very careful that you don't accidentally stretch a chair or a table. So you might want to lock, it doesn't say here, but it might be wise to lock the, well, I take that back. You might want the furniture to move as you stretch. Well, that's probably what I was thinking when I had you unlock all the layers and then stretch the walls around. Okay, I'll be back at what I say, 5:30. Yes, 5 or 800. Probably pays for the cleanup crew. Not too bad. Getting out of timeshares now. Anybody need help on anything? I forgot I brought in these symbols. I'll make a copy of the queen bed. Place it in there, say, and then rotate. I can't do P for previous because this stuff is the previous. So I gotta reselect everything. Spin it around. Now I can go P for previous. Got everything selected. Eventually I'll delete the word clean. I'll hit enter and snap it, say right centered on the windows. Move again, P for previous, and move stuff exactly the width of the wall. Whoop, what happened? All right. I'll move it exactly against the wall. Looks like it's off center again. I'll pretend I didn't see that. Now, if you want to have a twin bed, you know, I guess someplace I got a book of the standard dimensions of you know, the different beds, but feel free to stretch one. Pillows are going to cause some confusion. Hold the shift button, deselect the objects that I don't want to stretch. And I don't know, maybe that's the size of a double. What else? Copy some ceiling fans in. Oops, there we go. Oops. Copy. Rotate. M for move, P for previous. Center it on the window. M for move, P for previous, enter. There, that's what I did wrong. I won't bother to make a cop. Well, yeah. We got one bathroom here. I'll add beds, appliances, plumbing, say for the toilet and the sink. Haven't got an assigned color or line weight for those. Next time I hope to. So take your pick. Forgot beds. Now, just to exercise the properties of layers, let's freeze the furniture layers. We can draw, oh, here's another shortcut. This icon, you just click on an object and its layer gets frozen. So click on this, freezes the layer of selected objects icon. And there go the chairs, the tables, bed. That's all the furniture we got. We can undo, or come back here and thaw. Or simply thaw all layers. I never noticed that there. And then another exercise, just I'll pretend I'd already got the windows where they should. Anyway, let's lock everything that stays in place, doors, windows, and walls. Maybe the plumbing and appliances, I guess they'd remain the same. I need to add a ceiling fan, but do that later. You can, yeah, there's lock layers rather than going to the drop down here to lock, or the main control panel of everything to do with layers. Close that and click on the lock stuff on the layer of an object I pick. There's interesting. Only allowed to lock one layer at a time. Wonder why that is. It looks like hitting enter will reinstate the lock the layers. I'll lock layer 0 for good measure. Now I can move stuff as I want it. Why did I get, okay, I forgot to block the beds layer. Double check. Still got to fix the spelling of bathtub. Let's see, let's rotate the dining room table 90 degrees. Let's move P for previous. Where'd that come from? Didn't I lock the tables? Oh, forgot to lock the tables. Always something. Put him back where it goes. Rotate it. Lock the tables layer. Might be a case where I'd answer yes, I want to erase the source rather than putting 2 sofas in the room. Sure, P for previous would. I don't believe L for last would select the new mirror copy. Maybe the last piece of it. Well, I'm gonna cheat a little bit. Stretch this sofa so it'll fit. What happened to my oven? Well, I meant to lock it, not freeze it. Unlock all the layers. I think there's an icon, or is there? There's another match property icon. This one might be smarter because this one will it'll match text styles, dimension styles, and a lot more than just layer. So it might be wise to use this one that matches only layer. Let's see. I'll go here, select a layer, Control A for all, and click on one that is locked, and all of them will be unlocked. Close Layer Property Manager and stretch away. Okay, this drawing's been converted to an AutoCAD unit, represents an inch. So if I want to stretch it 3 feet, I got to type 36 to stretch. Maybe make this bedroom a little bigger. I'm going to try a lasso. Got to be a, there we go. Go in the right direction. And pull it out, say 24 inches. Give the guy a 2-car garage. So another 8 feet, 96. Enter. Okay, well, this looks like this match layer property is the opposite of the match properties. You select the target or destination objects first. Wait a minute. Click, select destination objects first, hit enter. Now select, no. Oh. Okay, it's not very clear, but maybe line the door up with the garage. Draw a guideline. Stretch. Lose the guideline. Stretch the kitchen sink and the kitchen window. Ready to move on to text? Tell me I didn't shut off the recording. Got, looks like 11 students. Last week or two, I forgot to take attendance because the more I think of it, it really doesn't matter since students can watch the recording. I'll fix that misspelling. All right, let's move to text styles on page 5-2. A couple of things to warn you about. Eventually, the ribbon turns into like a Microsoft Word looking. They call that a contextual ribbon. Anyway, the less you use the contextual ribbon, the better. Exceptions might be to bold a single word or underline a single word. So just a couple of words, but avoid using the contextual ribbon to alter justification. Let me show you. You double click on a piece of text and the ribbon kind of sort of looks like Microsoft Word. I think you can get in trouble if you change the justification. Like here's this, spread the text line so it goes the entire width of the page. Doing, a lot of this stuff up here deviates from the, the AutoCAD tools. And later when you select your entire drawing, and you know, you want to select everything of a given text style. You know, if you've got text butchered up with a unique font, you know, all the stuff up here, it'll make it harder to find the text that you want to standardize with the company owner's preference. So anyway, moving right along, we're going to cover text styles. The new, well, it's not so new anymore. Back in the mid-90s, this multi-line text came out. I believe everybody's using it with the exception of a few programs that still use the single line text. And there is, time permitting, there is a nice feature I like about the single line text, TEXT command instead of M text. You can kind of squeeze text together to fit a title block. Line spacing justification is the you know, upper left. I like to use middle center. Why don't you make a liar out of me? Oh, this isn't AutoCAD. Duh. Yeah, this is the default justification, upper left. But well, we'll get to justifications later on tonight. Anyway, let's create some text styles. Now, Microsoft Word uses text styles as well, but nobody uses them. You know, because they like to go up here to the ribbon. You'll select the text and say, hey, I want to make it, you know, some funky font. But I'm sure publishers like textbook publishers, I'm sure they whip on their staff to stick with styles. Back up, Abby. So that in just a few clicks, you can redefine the style and everything all across the book. You know, the headings of each chapter or the notes in the margin, or, you know, everything will, just a few clicks, you can change the font, the text type, the anything. Again, text styles are kind of like layers. It's a package of settings. Anyway, the way you start to create a text style is we're on the Home tab. Come over here to the annotation panel. Drop it down, and each of these is styles. Text, dimension, leader, and tables. I've done virtually nothing with tables, but text and dimensions are pretty important. Click over here on the text style icon. You can type the word style as well. And up pops the text style dialog box. I should have gotten rid of Arial. This brand new start from scratch drawings have annotative and standard. Annotative is a method where you can rig it so that regardless of how big a sheet of paper and what scale you plot it out, your text can be 1/8 of an inch. Whether it's the entire carrier on a, you know, E-size sheet of paper, or, you know, just a single, you know, lock wire on a couple of nuts, you know, the text will remain, the dimensions and the cross hatching and everything will remain nice 1/8 of an inch. But I'm not seeing anybody using that in the drawings that I've played with through the Air Force. So so far I haven't seen the need to teach it yet. Anyway, standard is, again, don't rename anything named standard. And I felt sure old AutoCADs would allow you to I'm sorry, don't modify anything named standard. You used to be able to rename standard, and I'd name it junk and then import a pure standard from another drawing, much like we brought, this chicken scratch from the other drawing, because that'll redeem myself if I accidentally butcher the standard text styles. I could name it junk and bring in a new a pure standard style. But playing with it this afternoon doesn't allow me to rename it anymore. So deal with it. Anyway, select standard, keep it pure, cannot be renamed. Okay. In time you'll learn what it is, and you'll know what to change of it. So leave it pure so it can be a template or a baseline. Click new, and at the first instant, your style 1, you can rename it, but right off the bat, your text style will be identical to standard. I forgot to tell you, layers are kind of sort of like this too. When you click the create new layer, the new layer will use the currently selected layer as a template. So if sometimes that helps you, sometimes it's frustrating. But anyway, we'll start with style 1. Oh, the chart says we want to name it Dutch, and use a Dutch font. Click OK. Now notice everything all heights are 0. I don't know what Diane would tell you, but my advice is leave everything height to 0 in the style, and assign the height of text unique object to object. And the reason for that is if you got a height here in a text style, and you use that text style for the font of your dimensions, the height of the style will govern, not the setting of the dimension style. So if you want to use Dutch text style in a dimension style where the numbers of the text of the dimension is, I don't know, a foot tall, for island of a carrier, for example. Sorry, but the 0.125 or 0.25, whatever the height of the Dutch style will govern, and all the arrowheads and gaps and whiskers of the text dimension style will be huge, and the text will be microscopic. So for the sake of dimension styles, I recommend leaving height 0 and assign height text object by text object. So anyway, so in each style, I suggest we give it a font, give it a tweak, font style. This one's got 4 different ones. Some of them have none. A lot of them have 2. Leave height 0 and change the width factor and the oblique angle. So font style, width factor, and oblique. What's that? 4 items. Width factor is how far horizontally the text stretches. Back when I was doing floor plans, I might put the flight operations or motor pool administration and try to put that in a tiny little room that prints out on paper an inch by an inch. Well, I might compress the text so that more letters are squeezed into a horizontal space. The oblique angle is purely aesthetic. That leans, I think I can do it here, let's say 8 degrees, hit enter. See how it leans the text. You might want to tweak the handwriting fonts, just to emulate your handwriting or unique handwriting. So again, width factor stretches it out. Less than 1 will compress everything. Greater than 1, which I think is rarely used, that'll stretch things horizontally. Anyway, following the chart here, we're working on Dutch. Font name would be True Type, TT, Dutch 801 RMBT. These are alphabetical Dutch. There it is. Font style Roman, is that the only one? Nope, you got 4. Leave it at Roman, the default. Don't touch the height. Width factor, we want to give it a little bit of a squeeze, 0.9. And this client standard says text leans 10 degrees to the right. This is possibly the only case where a positive angle is clockwise. See, the letters kind of lean to the right, so they're kind of twisting clockwise. The only exception to that positive is counterclockwise rule. I haven't seen a great deal of difference between set current and apply. Let's click set current, click yes, click close. We'll open up the dialog box again, and we got Dutch as well as standard and annotative, and somehow Arial will survive through the starter file process. So for the next font, architectural, I highly recommend you start them all with a clone of standard. And don't modify standard of anything named standard. Click new, we'll name it architectural. Architectural. Spelled right or not. Select the True Type Font City Blueprint. You notice there's a few different, most of them are True Type, but you come into a couple of these, you know, the old Draftsman compass icon. Those are the old AutoCAD. They're kind of like pen strokes of a, back in the pen plotter days. I can't think of an advantage to using them. The True Types were rather slow, you know, back when they came out in the 90s, but computers are fast enough now, it's negligible. I think that's all the different flavors of fonts, is the old computer, old AutoCAD compass and the new True Types. Where were I? City Blueprint. There it is. It used to be that architects tried to emulate handwriting. The mechanical designers would take advantage of robotic looking text. But the architects held on to everything looking hand drawn. I think they're finally giving up now. Font only has one font style, so we'll leave it regular. Again, height 0, width factor of 1, as it is, and oblique angle of 15. Again, this kind of tweaks the handwriting, so it, you know, looks like a specific unique individual hand wrote the text. Click set current. Yes, close, open up again. Here's our architectural. Last one is Swiss. True type Swiss 721 LTBT. Okay, it's got lighter italic. We'll leave it at light. Width factor 0.9, slight compression, and a 0-degree oblique angle. Click set current, yes, close. I need to correct this. Maybe not. Anyway, some of the properties of text you can select in the process of creating it. And I highly recommend you set the height while you're in the process of defining the right and left margins. I'm tempted to say everything else, go back later and tweak in the properties dialog box. Again, it's tempting to go up here to the Microsoft Word looking toolbar, but I think that kind of butchers and de-standardizes, deviates from the everything by layer concept. Anyway, check it out. There's two types of ways of making text. Multi-line is by far the more popular. Again, programmers and a couple of this align feature or fit justification still uses single line. In fact, there's an express tool to convert old single line text to M text. A lot of people were happy when that came out shortly after. And anyway, where were we? We'll start with the okay, go back to Home tab. We'll start with this multi-line text, the default icon, or MTEXT. So click on that. It asks you to specify corner, first corner and then second corner. What it's really asking you to do is specify the left margin and the right margin. By the way, this is going to come out microscopic. So I suggest zoom in on an end table if you still got one in this bedroom. And it'll occupy just a corner of this end table. Remember, an AutoCAD unit is an inch now on the floor plan. Anyway, pick your first corner, in other words, the left margin. And it's tempted to come over here and eyeball the right margin. And I'm sure there's a technical reason for this. But between these two corners, or right or left and right margin, is your opportunity to change some properties unique to this text object, independent of text style, but unique to this text object. Where was I? Now's the chance, and the way you do that, especially for height, is to right click. Now, who thought this up? Again, I'm sure there's some technical reason, but right click and select height. And I'll have to admit, this kind of matches what you're typing is what you're going to get on paper. So it kind of establishes what you see is what you get. So we'll set height. It's possible to change several things, but I think to be on the safe side, let's wait until our text is finished and go to the properties dialog box. So we'll go to height. I don't think you see my zoom toolbar. Here we go. This first piece of text says 0.125 high. Did I I might have to start over again. Right click, height. Specify the height as 0.125, enter. Now again, you can right click and do justification and spacing between line. Rotation is no different than rotating it later. It's waste of screen space to me. Columns I haven't gotten into. Anyway, let's just go ahead and click for the right margin. Which the closer, and your mission is to replicate virtually everything in the bottom of this page for your homework, with the possible exception of the optional practice line in the middle. Anyway, using the Dutch style, is that the current style? I forgot to set it, but that's okay. I'll change it to Dutch style later. Place some text here with the Dutch style, comma, that's 0.125 high. Your period. Click outside the text editor window. And sometimes you see a little OK button up here. I'm at a loss on why it's not appearing now. But click outside of the text editor and it'll close the little text editor. Now I see I got some misspellings. There's a type in command to edit text, but the easy way is simply to double click on the text, and whatever text editor was used to create it will open up again, and you can correct your spelling and change your typing. Place some text here with the Dutch style. That's 0.1/8 of an inch high. Click again outside. And I can tell right away the right and left margins are way too far apart. So this is a good use of grip editing. The square one is kind of the justification, where it's kind of lined up, so to speak. So I've got little use of this up and down because if you keep typing, it'll just keep going down, 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 down. But this right one, you can grip edit it. Sometimes I go off at an angle. I think the object snap is biting you when it goes into multiple columns. And nuts, it's going to multiple columns anyway. Let's see. All right. I've had this happen before, I believe. Double click and you can fix it there. I wish it was default to no columns, because it gets frustrating when, where were we? Slide it back again. I believe that's identical. If I were to zoom in, you could, if they're perfectly identical. However, it's not Dutch style. So we'll select the text, right click, go to the properties dialog box, and it's in Swiss style, because that was the last one I created and set current. So I'll change it to the Dutch style the same way as I can move it to a different layer. By the way, text should be on a text layer. It's not in the handout, so I can't whip on you for it. We'll change this text object to the Dutch style. And now we'll set, actually this was starting a simple, there's nothing else to change. We're going to accept the default line spacing and the default justification of upper left. Hit escape to deselect. Second one is place some text here in architectural style that's 0.2 high. Same thing, planning ahead, let's set current the architectural style, similar to setting a layer current. And again, as you saw, you can move it to the correct style later. We'll click that again. We'll specify the left point. Before I set the right margin or the right corner, I'll right click and set the height to 0.2. Enter. Continue on with the right margin by picking a corner. Place some text here with the architectural style capitalized, no, style. That's 0.2 high. Back in before I close and fix hello. There is a spell checker, by the way. I'll show you if time permits. That's about it. There's the close editor icon. But it's less mouse movement just to move outside the text editor and click. Change the margin. I believe if we made the two pieces of text identical magnification, they perfectly overlap each other. I'll leave this third one for y'all. It's the same thing, just set the Swiss style and make it 0.1 high. I definitely want to get into the justifications here. Now, getting back to the ribbon, contextual ribbon. Well, let me type this out and then I'll show you. Swiss style, middle center justified, so many unit high, exactly 0.8 line space factor. Okay, again, let's set the height between the left and right margins. So we'll go to, set Swiss, I'm sorry. Yeah, Swiss current. Multi-line, click a point, right click height. We want it 0.16 high, enter. Eyeball approximately the right margin. And type away, place some multi-line text here, comma, using Swiss style, comma, middle center justified, comma, 0.16 high, units high. Might as well take that out next printing. Exactly 0.8 line space factor, period. Double checking for misspellings. Looks good. Slide off of the text editor window, adjust the, well, actually, well, no, we can adjust, it's not too early to adjust the margin. Why did the 16 not appear here? Drag it a hair further. There. Now notice that in the handout, the line, there's a less white space from line to line than we got here. You know, from the H to the P, there's so much, but there's less space here. That's where the 0.8 line space factor comes in. I don't think you can poorly do it from up here. Actually, you got to double click for the magic ribbon to appear. But a single click to select it opens up the properties. There's the height we already got. Here's line space style. We want it to be exactly, I'll explain what at least means in a second. We want the line space factor to be exactly 0.8, not 1. Hello. All right, double keystroke over it like I'm renaming it. Was that a comma or period? Enter. See how it jumped a little closer? Now the difference between exactly and at least only comes in effect when you got fractions, like 1/4. If we had it set for at least, then this line that's got the stacked fraction here would have more white space than the others. Oh, got a blank space there. Always something. So as I understand it, the at least means that lines that have a superscript or a stacked fraction like this will have slightly greater space above and below. And I don't know how often you want to do that. People certainly like consistency in the spacing. I'll lose that fraction. Let's see. Middle center justified. We haven't accounted for that yet. So I'll bail out of the text editor. I'll select it like I was going to move or copy it. Where's justification? Right here. Top left is the default. We want to drop it down and select middle center. Sometimes I use top right, you know, notes on when I'm grading your papers, mostly. So we'll select middle center. That means dead center of this paragraph remains constant no matter how high and low I type and how wide right and left I go. Well, maybe at least how, anyway, click middle center. There's the controlling grip, dead center of it. Let me copy this. Taking advantage of the noun verb syntax, I'll have it selected and then click copy. Move it over here. Now check it out. I can shorten this, you know, 3/4, and that square will remain dead center of the paragraph. Click on it again, and right there's dead center. So I like to, you know, use middle center again when labeling a room. You know, so if without that, if I copied the men's room and put it across the hall or whatever for the women's room, the word women will be perfectly centered as was the word men without having to move and recenter the text, provided it started with this middle center justification. So far, so good. Deselect by hitting escape. Bring the computer's attention back to AutoCAD. I'll get rid of that guy before I get in trouble. Got you about 35 more minutes. I can walk through maybe another one, which is the hardest here. It looks like they're all the same, just repetition. So let's do this next one with the architectural style. This one is top right justified, possibly because it's to the left of the floor plan. You've got a nice straight margin between the text and the floor plan, or the, what's it called, elevation of the house. Actually, to better match the handout, I'll put this text down here. Start this text over here. Let's see, what's the font? Architectural style. Set current architectural. Click multi-line. Pick the left margin. Before we pick the right margin, right click, pick height. Set it to 0.2 units. Enter. And eyeball a reasonable ballpark corner for the right margin. Place some multi-line text here, comma, using architectural style, comma, top. Is that a capital T? Well. Top right justified, comma, 0.2 units high with exactly 0.8 line space factor. Double click to fix the spelling. There's a way you can, I think there's a way you can rig your AutoCAD so literally Word is your text editor, but I'm not smart enough to know how to do that or really see a need. All right, we'll grip edit it, tweak the right margin. Got the first line looking good. While it's still selected, change top left to top right. Looks like I got a line break. Let's see if I can reduce it a hair. What is different? Oh, got a space between high and exactly. I'm gonna lose sleep with this. Top right justified period. Okay, that should be a period, not a comma. Wouldn't think that would make a difference. Exactly. Capital E. Okay, that's a 0.9, not a 0.8. Getting old. Line, space, factor, period. Now, why can't I get exactly to kick down into the last line? Oh, duh. This is the locating grip, not the margin control. There we go. Okay, still got that exact line. I wonder if I got a blank space somewhere. I forgot a comma after the high. Okay, now it's perfect. Ah, but wait, there's more. I need to fix the exactly 0.9 line factor. We'll select this text object and we'll set the line space style to exactly and change the factor to 0.9. Now, by the way, to my knowledge, each font has got a determined line spacing. So what we're doing is saying, hey, whatever's determined, let's go with 0.9 of that. So you're kind of at the mercy of, the whoever created the font, whatever his or her preference in the amount of white space. Now, while we're thinking here, again, say somebody oh, did I get it right? 0.9 exactly, yeah. Say somebody buys your company and says, oh, that's god awful ugly. I hate that crap. All you got to do is redefine what the architectural style is. So select architectural, change the font to something that's your boss or your client likes, like Arial. Click apply, click close, and there, everything that's done with the architectural style obeys the new settings for the style, just like change the color of a layer. Every line, arc, and circle will obey the color of the layer. Let me undo. Move it a little closer to match the handout. By the way, last time I taught this, several students perfectly matched the handout by putting carriage returns at the end of the lines. And I think one of them even had blank, 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 blank to the left of the line. That's where the sin comes in of using these justifications. See, that justification spreads it the entire length of margin, but it'll still remain top right justified in the properties. So if you tweak, using these justifications up here, you kind of like assigning a color other than by layer. It makes it difficult for people to standardize or follow, clean up your work when the company changes hands. Let me undo. The exception to that is I think it's reasonable to boldface a single word and underline it and possibly change a color. Where's the color? I think if 20 years from now, when you're promoted president of another company, whoever takes over for you will assume that that is a customized tweak. It has nothing to do with the style. But okay, let me try to demonstrate this. I'll double click. I'm going to select all the text and copy to Windows clipboard. Okay, right click, pick copy. And you can do this from Word as well, or Notepad, or your email, or anything. Sometimes the formatting rides to the new application, and sometimes it's stripped down. Whatever you don't want to happen usually does. We'll click copy. I'll launch another, get out of here, launch another text. We'll just go with the default setting. I'll Control V or paste. Now, don't do this. Okay. Don't put a carriage return at the end of this top line. Burgener will never know the difference. Carriage return at the end there, and whoops, backspace. And change the text height. Again, it looks perfect, but somebody comes out later and says, add something here like, or whatever the office standard is. There you've ruined it. Makes it more difficult to revise later if you've butchered it with blank spaces and carriage returns. Another demonstration. Let me open up something. Yeah, it's wrote myself a cheat sheet here. I'll check, make sure I covered everything. click somewhere in here, Control A to select everything, Control C to copy to Windows or copy to the clipboard, and Control V. In that case, the editing row, carried over. I'm at a loss on why that one line is different, but I think I can standardize it. Match. Kind of, sort of. Another thing I'd like to learn you. In the intermediate, when we get into programming, one technique is to copy all of your commands. So one way might be to open up your text window. You don't have to enlarge it. If hit F2, widens your text window. Select it, Control C, start another text object, Control V, and simply delete everything except the commands. And you'll get a nice little grocery list of command after command. I'm at a loss on why those asterisks don't work. Don't delete. There's the move command. You get the idea. Another use is the list command, LI enter. I'll select this line, say. There's my list command. Control C. And I'll replace all this. There I got the from point and the to point and the length and all that stuff. I might let you out early here. Let me go down my list here. This I plagiarized directly from the help screen of AutoCAD, because I'm only using a fraction of the text capability of AutoCAD. So I went to the help. I think we covered that all. We covered don't modify anything named standard. To do second page of your handout, put it in the corner here, and I'll PDF it with a close-up of this on the bottom of a page using the magic of layouts we cover in intermediate. Set the height between the two margins. Anything else causes confusion. Use the properties dialog box for justification line spacing. Another way of wording that is avoid using the ribbon because it overrules the property settings. Don't make it look good with enters and blank spaces. Okay, this is the last thing I think I want to learn you, the fit justification trick. We just covered the copy paste from the text window. Oh, I owe you spell check and find. Oh, and maybe how to put in symbols. Let me try to do these in order. The bottom of your handout has this optional line. Let me copy it and bring it over here where we can read it a little better. Where'd it go? There it is. Change the text height to say a foot, 12 units. Taking more time than it should. Where's that grip? Well, looks like I gambled and lost on that deal. I can't find the, oh, there it is. Duh. All right, the one thing that I still like about single line text, you know, besides the fact that a lot of the programmers still use it, particularly this arc align tool. You can draw an arc and this will wrap single line text around the arc. So anyway, where was I? The one thing with single line is that you can make it squeeze between a given, you know, two points. Like if you want to put Newport News shipbuilding in a space exactly 1.25 inches long in the title block, well, you can change the width factor of the style and hit too much, change it again, too much, or you can just specify a line how long you want your words to be, and I'll delete this down to about Newport News Shipbuilding Night School or whatever. We'll select it, change the justification here to fit. Oh, my bad. This is multi-line text. I'm making it worse, aren't I? Well, let me start from scratch here. Single line text. We'll pick a point. Each line is a separate AutoCAD object with single line text. So it's impossible or extremely difficult if you add 3 words in the middle of a sentence to keep the margins straight. So we'll type, say, Newport News shipbuilding, right? I'm an idiot. The second line says specify the height. You can overrule it, or I'll hit enter to accept that. 0 rotation angle, as they all are. Now it's asking for the type. Newport News shipbuilding night school, say, period. And I want it to fit in a title block space that's only this long. Select it, change the justification to fit. Now grip edit the 2 pieces of this line. And it perfectly fits in your title block. Erase the line or put it on a layer that doesn't print out. I forgot to show you that too. There's a column. Yeah, right here's the print or no print column. Anything you want to never appear on the print, even if it's a PDF print, just put the circle slash there and those layers will never appear on paper. Def points is a layer that does that, but you know, def points comes up when you learn dimensioning. But now any layer can be rigged to no plot. Where was I? The spell feature, I think there's an icon for it somewhere up here. But you can simply type spell. I'll search the entire drawing, click start. Interesting. How did I mistype that? Well, you get the idea. I'll ignore it. Multi-line it chokes on. You can add to your dictionary, you know, popular words that you use that aren't in the dictionary. And another nice feature in AutoCAD. Let's see what. How about opposite? Well, that's going to appear a lot of places, but that's okay. Find is the way to look for a specific word. I've already forgotten how to spell opposite. There you go. There's probably a few of them. You can replace it. You know, replace the word opposite in the text with, I don't know, conversely. Replace all. And if we can find conversely in this mess. There it is. So it's much like Word. So search and replace. Well, I'm running out of stuff to learn you. Let me go back to my crib sheet here. Symbols. Okay, there's a few symbols that have lasted throughout AutoCAD's history. For example, the circle slash for diameter, a tiny little circle for degree, plus or minus for tolerancing. Check it out. I'll simply type and I guess you eventually, you know, write these down. %C is for diameter. %D gets you that little bubble. And %P gives you the plus or minus symbol. Other symbols, maybe a few others I'm not thinking of, but the other ones just right click in the middle of the text, go to symbols. Now the heart, you know, you got standard symbols here. I've sometimes gone to other, and there's GD and T if your department uses the you know, the geometric dimensioning and tolerancing symbols for parallelness and you know, all these other things. I never did learn this. Unfortunately, you end up having to use the Windows clipboard to get it from this dialog box here into your text. So you got it selected. You can have a few more selected. You know, once you got all the symbols you like, click copy. Come over here and right click and pick paste. And there's your geometric dimensioning and tolerancing symbols. Not sure how you can change the font of them. Trying to think of uses I've had for that. Maybe a carriage return for hitting the enter symbol. What else? Some of these fonts are nothing but symbols. I think there's a list of weather symbols, wingdings. I won't take time to find it, but say, select this, copy. And at the end of the line, I'll paste it, representing, we hit the carriage return, but a key on the keyboard. Quiet crowd today. I guess that's everything. I'll let you go 5 minutes early if you want. Anybody got anything they wanna ask or need help with? Anything repeated?
No, sir. You have a good night.
Okay. Appreciate Ben.
I have a question.
Yes, Christina.
Should we turn in our version of the week 5 starter for this week?
Yes, save as it into your personal folder on your pooter. Maybe Paul, some of you spell out week. I'm too cheap, but to each his own. And I'm saving it in the week 5 folder here, and then email me that file. Let me see, I think I got a completed one here. Yeah, home HW check. Now don't worry about the colors. This is how I'll return it to you, the way I did before. You zoom in and you can see this student's chicken scratch. And yep, this student did create a layer named text. Don't remember if I told him to or not. But I'm giving you a little appetizer for intermediate. I'll unlock these 2 viewports. Now check it out. We can kind of get a television set built into the sheet of paper, and you can zoom in with a remote controlled TV camera on any detail you want. This one is a close-up of that end table. I don't care if you delete the all the stuff below your floor plan. Got a latecomer here. Here's the model tab, and I got a ton of garbage. But, here's what I zoomed in for your handout. Anyway, does that question your answer? Just give me a file approximately this much, and I'll nitpick your floor plan and build another view with the layout. Okay, looks like I did put it. Anyway, does that sound fair? Oh, by the way, next week, don't think I've got the handouts ready yet, but I'm tempted to have you take dimensions of your dwelling and literally make a floor plan of your residence. I don't know if I can show you one I made of our last house. I'm not quite done with the one I got, just moved a couple years ago, and I'm still working on it. Where's my academic?
Sir, while you're looking for that, just a side question. You mentioned that the advanced course might be offered in the springtime. Is that
Yes,
correct?
sir. Yeah. The general rule is we launch a class or make the class, as they say in the biz, but 10 students have to enroll before we justify making the class. I don't know if that number will be higher with the online classes. You know, because we can, you know, I can handle, you know, 50 students now.
Understood.
Sure.
Okay.
So I don't know how soon Sherry Morgan is going to accept applications. Okay, there's my father's house, old house. And I took advantage of layers. So I got the second floor. Oh, come on. Okay, here we go. Both floors, number 4. Check it out. This is the ground floor. Up, let's go to model tab. Here's all the layers visible. Ground floor in blue, in green, and second floor in blue. So just turn off if you want to see the second floor. Just freeze all the layers that begin with 1 hyphen. And nothing happened. Nope. Let me get rid of the dimensions. I don't know why I got multiple layers of dimensions, but I'll have to admit, the one and only time I used this, my son in this bedroom wanted a computer cable to come right through here, right behind his door, so he can feed his computer. I thought, oh, perfect. I'm gonna measure on my CAD drawing. Why did it? I think I didn't undo far enough. Yeah, from this wall on the first floor, I'd measure over to this point. You with me? And drill straight up in the ceiling of the pantry, and I should come right out behind my son's door. Well, when we sold the house, I ended up having to putty 3 different holes because I mismeasured. But you know, in theory, it's, you know, you could find a straight line for a chimney or duct pipe to go through a chase. Anyway, I'm starting to babble. Anything else? Anybody? Call or email if anything comes up during the week. Catch you later. Bye.